And welcome back. Today, we're getting smart about our finances with Money Sense, brought to you by Ellenbecker Investment Group. Well, one of the most important things that you can do is take an inventory of your personal assets. How much do you own and how much do you owe? So, do you know how to do that? Especially if the idea of figuring out your net worth is overwhelming to you, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, you have to sit down for a chat with this lady. That'll help you figure it out. Karen Ellenbecker is here with Ellenbecker Investment Group. And I have to be honest, Karen, I think a lot of people resist sitting down with someone like you because they're afraid to sound dumb about their money.
Yes, and you know, and I think that's, I always say that you have to listen to your instincts, and you do have to find somebody that is going to really sit down and listen, because it's the time that you take to listen and to have that, I want to say chit chat, but to get to know each other, where you sort of let down your guard a little bit and you're willing to talk about the things that really matter to you most. I think very often people have the sense that they're going to sit down and it's going to be, what are you doing? What did you make? What do you have? How have you saved? How much debt do you have? And it's not about that at all. It's really more of a fact finding. It's really a conversation between adults and trying to really understand what's important to you. And when we talk about the net worth statement, which is always really an interesting conversation, you know, as a business owner, at least once a year, the bank requires me to do a net worth statement. They want to know that my business is stable. They want to know what I have, if I bought new things, and every year, and in some banks require it even twice a year. So if you are going to look at your business, your personal business, I always say your investment portfolio, what your net worth is, you want to treat it like a business again. We're trying to really think about it differently. So when you sit down, and we've got the net worth statement here, it provides so much information for you and for your advisor. So you sit down and you write your primary, your home. You write down the cars that you have, any jewelry that you have. You write down your IRAs and your investments and what the true value of them are. And then you get an idea of what it is that you actually have. So many people will say to me, and often it's an older, maybe a widow, her kids will sit down or they'll call me and say, you know, Mom says she doesn't really have enough money and we're worried. Will we be able to help her? What might we have to do? And I'm looking and she's got millions of dollars. You know, but she doesn't really realize what she has because she's never done a net worth statement. She just kind of knows what's at this bank and what's at that bank.
She knows what's in her checking account.
And her checking account. And then I'll have other people whose children will say to them, don't worry about me. I'm fine. And the kids will come in and we'll talk and the parents aren't fine.
Yeah.
And so the only way you can really tell if you're on track, whether you're retired, whether you're looking towards retirement, whether you're starting out, is to track what your net worth is. And Tiffany, you said it. I mean, what do you actually own and what do you owe? Because we've talked about it several times, people say, well, I've got $500,000 in my retirement account. You really don't. You have half $500,000 minus tax and Uncle Sam's share. So you have to think about every dollar that you save. Part of that dollar is yours and part of it is Uncle Sam's. It just depends on how much it is. The other thing that's important about this is once we get it down, we'll look and Molly, with your house, we'll say, well, if something happens to you, if you get sick, if you die, if you are disabled, what do you want to happen with that house? You know, what do you want to happen with your jewelry? You've got life insurance. How do you want that? Because this is what you have. And if something happens to you, and most of us don't have planned deaths, something happens unexpected, this stuff goes somewhere. And really looking at it and understanding, how am I going to pass this to my beneficiaries? And you know, when your children are older, you think, well, it just goes to them outright. That may not be the best solution because there's a way of protecting that for them against bankruptcy and different things. But Molly, you've got little ones. If something happened to you at age 18, you don't want them to come into a large sum of money that could destroy their life. So it's really consciously important to have a net worth and then to look at the net worth and determine what is it worth. Is it really on the positive side or the negative side? You know, so many people have homes that went underwater. There are things, and so you might have an artificial sense of security. And I find that a lot of spouses have a sense of security that's not always on solid ground because they never talk about it. So the bank may require someone to do this, but they don't share it. So that's a big piece.
Yeah.
How important is it that both people, when you're married, feel comfortable with the financial advisor? That not just the female or not just the husband feel good about the advisor?
It's critical. We've talked about that crazy statistics. That's the one that just about blew my top off. You know, 70% of women fire their financial advisor within the first year of their husband's death. But the same thing happens with a husband if the wife has been managing it. They don't understand, they don't know. And someone once told me that if you picture that you've been invited to a meeting and you come into this meeting and you're kind of looking at the meeting and you realize that it's the first meeting after your death and you can't say anything. And you're watching your wife and you're watching your children and you're looking at them and ask yourself, are they feeling a sense of security and comfort that you have everything planned? Or are they frazzled and worried and frightened that they don't know if they're okay? Do they know who to trust? Or don't they have anyone to trust?
I think that's huge. And I think imagining that will help you make the right decisions right now in how you invest, where your money is, and what kind of information you leave behind about your last wishes. So if you would like help with assessing the state of your finances, and especially if the thought of figuring out whether you are where you should be financially, if that's overwhelming to you, if you and your spouse haven't found someone that you're both comfortable with, you can call Karen. And that net worth planner that she just showed you, you can get a free copy of that by either emailing this address. It's email to info@ellenbecker.com or call 262-691-3200. You can sit down with Karen yourself to ask these questions and make sure that you're set financially. Again, the phone number 262-691-3200. ellenbecker.com is the website to visit for more information. Thank you so much, Karen. Good information.